Thank you, Kendall. As you can see, exciting things ahead. And we need to go to the now moment. And I know that it's very easy to move away from the flow, especially when things takes a little bit longer. And we have the next speaker, and what I would like to do is just ask you to take a deep breath. And feel how you reconnect again with the energy field that we have already created. Feel again your heart. I know that that's the place from which you like to connect with the next speaker. And as you already have heard, Raymond Tarpy is somebody who has a lot of knowledge about what we call ancient times. He is an historian. He has been studying the Mayan civilization amongst others, and due to his work at the ARE, he got more and more interested in Atlantis and Lemuria. This is exactly what we talk about. If we really look into the energies, I talked about grids just before lunch. There are grids that are connected with Atlantis, there are grids that are connected with Lemuria. If you learn to be sensitive, you will understand that this third Crystal Skull event that has been organized, and the fourth one is like a movement between first Lemuria, then Atlantis. Now we are back in Lemuria, and next time we go to Atlantis. Raymond Tarpy is, I think in that sense, one of the best speakers on this subject, and I've never heard him before because it's the first time that he comes in the Crystal Skull conferences, and we are really happy that he is willing to join us. Ladies and gentlemen, Raymond Tarpy.
Thank you very much, everyone. Now that I've had enough time to get good and nervous, let's get talking and break it up a little bit. As you see the title, Edgar Casey, The Crystal Skulls of the Maya and Atlantis, and the 2012 Time of Awakening. My studies began in China. I am a Chinese historian. I studied ancient China. I majored in Tang dynastic history. And then I went to Japan and studied Japanese. I speak those languages. And then when I came to study the Maya, something else happened. I found things in Mayan civilizations that I could not explain. And so this is the story of my path. And this is the story of how I sort of backed into the crystal skulls. Like many of the caretakers did, to sort of, you back into the skull and skull says, here I am. And it's like our inner self saying to us, here I am. So let's go to the next slide. It's all about these lands that you see there. In the center is the Gulf of Mexico there. And you have the Olmec lands. Let's see if this is still working. Yep. Right in this area is the key area. So far, remember when we're talking about the Mayan lands, we're talking about history, it is all theory. We have not dug up even half the sites yet. We are only excavating on 25% of the Earth's surface. We do not have the technology yet to excavate under the ocean on the surface areas underneath there where ancient continents sank. And so we are just theorizing. As I said yesterday to a group, I said, hold on to your hats. It's going to change. A lot of the things that people are believing, please suspend your beliefs. Just study. Okay, this is the place of the Olmec culture, which archaeologists seem to find the most ancient sites there that they say this is the precursor culture of the Maya. It ain't necessarily so. We are now finding older sites in the Mayan lands that shocked us, one at San Bartolo, fellow Dr. Saturno, I believe it was in the early 2000s here, who ran out of a rainstorm up at Naranjo or Nakbe, one of those sites up there, and just ran into a hole that the cave or the tomb robbers had made. And he shined his flashlight and he found a whole series of paintings exquisitely done with glyphs that the Mayans had no idea what they are. The precursor glyphs to the Mayan glyphs. So they used to say that the Mayan culture began in 250 AD because that's when the writing first appeared. This took it back another 500 years, just from a guy running into a hole and finding another picture that we never understood was there. Because under each site is a whole bunch of other sites. And they have to be very slow because they build and they decommission as they build. And it's site after site, and they can't get down to them because they'll destroy the present site. So it's going to be slow going, but it's going to be exciting and magical all the way. Okay, these are the two lands. The Olmec, as I said, was in the center. They were in the center, and they spread out like wings. Their culture spread to Mexico, the lands of the heartland of Mexico, and they spread to the Mayan lands over on the eastern side. So the western side are the Aztecs, the Mexica, the Mexicans, and on this side is the Mayan lands traditionally. Although there have been ancient Mayan cultures up here too, the Huasteca. Okay, let's go to the next. We know the Olmec were around. Excuse the old map. It's one of my old pictures from one of my visits to the museums. And you see all those sites, 1, 2, whatever it is, 20-something there. That's the places where Olmec relics, Olmec-style art pieces have been found. So we know, we've identified the Olmec style, and we know they were all over the place because we found their artifacts all over with distinctive Olmec markings. So there's a basis for this in the excavations, okay? This is a close-up or a better view of their site. You can see on the inset there, there's an inset right there where the Olmec are. And these are their three most famous cities, San Lorenzo, which flourished first. Then they went to their classic place, La Venta. You cannot see La Venta now because the Pemex, the Mexican oil company, is digging there. So they've moved a lot of the things out of there to a place called Villa Hermosa, and that's now sort of a Mexican, an Olmec museum. How many people have been to Villa Hermosa? Yeah, a lot of you here. Many woo-woos have been there. Okay. This is I use the term woo-woo because when we talk about what we talk about to the ordinary population, we get ooh-ooh. This is Tres Zapotes. That was the last major site, and then they shifted over that way. The civilizations tend to move because civilizations tend to fall. They usually fall because the top gets too heavy. Too many people, too few people are controlling most of the wealth. It's happened over and over and over again. And we have another opportunity to learn now. Okay, let's go to the next one. After studying China for many years, I began to study Mayan culture because I was teaching some youngsters from Mexico, and I was surprised they didn't know much about Mayan culture or Aztecan culture because it wasn't on the syllabus in the schools. And so it was sort of a hidden layer. And so as I began to see things that shocked me, one of them is this, jade artifacts. This is an ornamental axe. And I found out that the Mayans are absolutely fascinated with jade. Only two cultures that I know of in the entire world esteem jade above gold, the Maya and the Chinese. So I was saying, interesting, okay. Then I'm wondering about all this, what this is. This is now called the Jaguar, like werewolf, the Jaguar motif. They're saying it is a devotion to the spirit of animals, because according to the American Indian, animals are as intelligent or more intelligent than humans. There's a lot of basis for this. And I always ask people, who hears better than we do? Who smells better than we do? Who feels better than we do? I think they even feel better too, yeah. And they have, and those extraordinary senses and powers, that's a power of intelligence. Only in the civilizations where we come from, the Eurasian, the human being has been put on the top. It's one of the things we have to consider in the modern age, that may not be so. There may be powers among those other species that we have no idea about. And there may be things set in the universe and on the earth that if they are abused in any way, they can come back at us. Bird flu, things like that can come out of the AIDS, that can come out of the animal world, that can take us down. So the Mayans are always concerned with guardianship, not dominion, guardianship. Okay, next one, dear. What? The mouse. Oh, the word Jaguar motif. I forgot. I got lost there. And so it is a combination of spirit. They have a concept in Mexico called the Nahual. How many people have heard about that? Yes. The spiritual alter ego, the animal part of us, because animals were here longer than we are. And animals have gained a lot of experience and intelligence, and American Indians know that automatically, and they did not have civilizations that wiped the animal out. Most of the current major religions coming from Eurasia, the animals have been filtered out of their sacred books. Not so with the Maya. Okay, let's go. Then I came across this scene. This is a scene from La Venta. La Venta is a classic site of the Maya, around 900 CE, AD, if you like. And I saw those faces. I saw those elongated heads. If this had been found in Shang Dynasty, China, I would not be surprised. So I was shocked. It's a diorama. They're miniature figures, but most of them are made of jade. And the central figure there is red granite. And that is exactly what Edgar Cayce said. I'll tell you about that later. Red granite is very important because Edgar Cayce, as I later found, said that red, the American and the Atlantean lands are red. It's not a racial thing, it's another dimension of races in the world that came through Edgar Cayce. The races are representative of a different spirit resonance, of a different even sensory assignment that they are to work on in this plan of revelation that Edgar Cayce talked about. Okay, so also these stellae, those tall pillars, where they make inscriptions. Ancient societies made inscriptions on tall stellae. There's an element in there called bird script, which many Chinese scholars are interested in because they're very similar to Chinese. So when I found all this out, I'm wondering, what is going on? How could China have come to these lands when the mainstream histories are saying nothing, zero about it? They all came over as hunter-gatherers across the Bering Strait. It's not holding up. It's breaking down all around. Okay, next one. Here's another picture of that jaguar motif, and here they are, and I saw their faces. They sure look like Chinese people to me. And this is ancient. This is very ancient. Okay, next one. Then I saw this. This is a Mayan glyph, ancient Mayan glyph, showing the goddess of the moon, Ixchel, with a rabbit. I saw this, I said, oh, come on. Come on, that's too much. There's a very exact image in China, and it's Chang'e and Bai Tu. Chang'e is the goddess of the moon, as is Ishtel with her companion, the rabbit. Whoa. Okay, next one. Here is a modern version of it. So these are the things we look for in history. We read in between the lines. You read the ancient books, and you can find information in between the words and around the words and nuances that are there with information for us. Next one. Then I saw this type of motif, art motif, where the entire tripod, this is called a ding, and only certain Shang rulers could own one. Other minor nobles could own lesser ones. There was a sort of a gradation of form. But the interesting thing is that the entire thing is an animal. The entire thing is one living creature. It is a what we call the Tao Tie motif. And this one here, where the animal from the snake emerges the face of a human, the relationship between animals. Here you have a snake swallowing a human being, because the snake represents the incarnate world. As the Mayans say, you and all your memories will go through the white-boned snake when you die. You'll be picked clean of everything. If your spirit life has not got deep enough into your bone, all the murals on every tomb will be of no help to you at all. The Mayans are really very, how would I say, stark and awesome. It's an awesome and a stark spirituality. So welcome in. So this is the idea of the human being being swallowed by the incarnate world, the animal representing the incarnate, all the diversity of the incarnate. And so every one thing becomes one single animal with many different heads of one animal. Okay, next one. Here it is again, and there's the words Tao Tie in Chinese. I'm glad I'm not writing anymore. I use the computer. Look at all those strokes you'd have to remember. But anyway, it is, at the bottom is the word for food. And this is feathers and also the dark of night and sort of uncomfortable things, and the dragon. So it has the idea of the roughness of the incarnate world. It's not easy here. It's designed to be a little tough for us because we're sort of stubborn learners. We're a stubborn species, basically. And so the incarnate is designed. This is a Mayan bowl. This is a Chinese one, and the entire thing is one single animal. So that's the Tao Tie technique or motif. Next one. Then I found this. Now, I had studied Chinese for many years. After you get to know a language, know the culture, you get the aroma, the smell of it. And I found a secret that I thought all other Chinese did not know. And that is, Chinese people in ancient times saw no difference between blue and green. For a lot of people, that's hard to understand, but the color spectrum can be cut anywhere. And think of the waters in the tropical forest, blue and green at different times, and you can see how that could happen. And then I found this. This is sort of Kilroy was here. This is Yash in Mayan, and it means first precious green, and it's blue-green. The Mayan did not discriminate between blue and green, the ancient Maya. So even Japanese today will call this signal light blue. Vietnamese still have it. I checked Japan, I checked all over Asia in the Chinese spheres, and they all have it in the residue and what's in the subconscious of the culture now existent. Okay, next one. Then I found this. This is a stela from about, BC, early BC, I forget exactly the year. And look at those pyramids down underneath there. You see the pyramids? Look at the water. Does it remind you of a boat? That's a big hint that there was diffusion at an early date. And so they're telling us, and we have a wizard there. Do you see a wizard there? I can't see him from this angle. Where's my wizard? Is he over there? Thank you very much. Would you do that for me sometimes? I appreciate it. And the wizard is over here. Yeah, here he is. Okay, shamans apparently escaped from some place over the water. There's the water motif with the tree of life. So that was a big hint to me that there was diffusion at an early date, prehistoric. But the problem is, no mainstream historian was backing me up. So I have a sister-in-law named Frieda. She's from Germany. She was woo-woo from the get-go. And I was complaining about all this to her. And she said, why don't you read Edgar Cayce? And I said to her, I don't want to read any of that psychic crap. I want fact. But when you get desperate enough, I picked it up, and since my life has never been the same. Okay, so let's go to the next one. There he is, Edgar Cayce. This is the guy. How many people have been in ARE or have heard of Edgar Cayce? Great. Whoa, yeah, okay. It's one of those incarnate stakes in the world. They've been there for many years. They're there. They'll be there forever. And I'm so happy to have organizations like this, like the Theosophical Society, that have been around for a long time, that really are the incarnate stake of the spirit work in the world. Okay, so Edgar Cayce is the one sleeping prophet. He saw many things. He spoke of ancient continents. Unfortunately, he didn't write too much about Mu Lemuria, except for the fact that he said ancient Atlantis was, somebody asked him, in which ancient civilization did they reach the highest level of spirituality? And Edgar Cayce said, Mu Lemuria. So it's my thing, it's my idea that Mu Lemuria is rising. Atlantis is rising, but so also is Mu Lemuria, and I'm going to show you the ruins, okay? Here's Edgar Cayce. Okay, next one. Edgar Cayce saw into the Akashic record. He went to sleep or in a trance, and he would see things and start talking. When he woke up, he had to ask everybody what he remember one thing. But it was very difficult for him to interpret this information. It's not written, it's sort of a telepathic type of a thing, and he struggled with the words, and at the end of most of his sentences, he'd be saying, see, because you couldn't possibly explain it in words, because the Akashic record is so complicated, and each individual human being is almost like a separate universe of experiences, and yet we're one. It's designed that way. Okay, next one. And his vision was the first incarnations took place in Mu Lemuria in the ocean of the Pacific that fell. The last destruction of Mu, Edgar Cayce seems to indicate that it's around 25,000 BCE. And some of the islands in the Pacific are remnants of that. But we may not find a lot of artifacts on top of the mountains. We'd find them down under. Okay, next one. Here is an artist's conception of Lemuria. Some people, Churchwood wrote many books in the 30s about it, and this is one artist's conception. It was huge, and Edgar Cayce made it real along with other people, including Churchwood. Next one. This is another artist's conception of the island and where it lay. We're not sure. It included Hawaii. And I think the concept of 13 is Mu Lemurian. When you saw the Mayans do their ceremony, the numbers were 13, the bows. Did you notice? 13, 13, 13. Yes. I think that's coming from Mu Lemuria, the most ancient influence of the incarnate in the Americas. Across the Pacific, probably similar, parallel with that picture we saw with the boat and the wizard coming across. Okay, next one. These are ruins now that we see off the last island of the Okinawan chain, Yonaguni. The Scientists have investigated it and said these are natural formations. So let's explore the natural formations for a while. Okay, next one. Here's another natural one. Is there another one? Go ahead. Okay, here's Yonaguni. Tomorrow I can show you more. I have to get along. Tomorrow, anyway, Yonaguni Island. There it is. Is that the X right there? X marks the spot. That's where the ruins are. And they're still discovering, and they're massive. They're also off of Taiwan. It's huge. And so, but the press is not saying anything about it, nothing. I think if it was Atlantis, we'd get a little bit more news, but for a lot of Westerners, finding it in the East is going to be tough. Okay. Tough on the mind. Tough on the paradigm. Okay, next one. This is an artist's concept of Atlantis, which I love because it shows the crystal. Edgar Cayce talked about Atlantis, and he talked about a great crystal, which he called the Tuaoi. It sounds like Hawaiian, doesn't it? It's a Lemurian. That's why I think we found it in the Samoan language. And for people of the followers of the crystal skull and knowers of the crystal skull, Edgar Cayce said this about the sacred crystals of Lemuria and Atlantis. He said they were first used to communicate with the other dimensions. That's what he said. And later on, they can be used for energy source. Atlantal stone. Next picture. This central stone, which he called the Tuaoi stone, Atlantis used it to power their vehicles, he said. Only they tuned their instrument, they played with their technology. They were great gamers, the Atlanteans. They were the more aggressive and entrepreneurial group if you compare to Lemuria. Okay, next one. And here's my test. Can I find, oh, there it is. There are the Mayan lands. Here's Atlantis, here's Mu. That's why the Mayan civilization has layers. My skill, my education has taught me to look for culture underneath the culture that presently people have. They have a culture, they think it's this, it's really not. It consists of many layers underneath from the past. So my specialty is looking at what's underneath. When I go to Europe, I'm always looking for the Celt, okay, in the underlying places. When I'm in the Bahamas, I'm looking for Atlantis underneath. I'm looking in America for the original people here. I really appreciated when Hunbat's men said, Chumashki'in, Chumashki'in. The Chumash people were here. They have an incredible testimony. Incredible. And it's in ethnographies that are just ignored. And it's just, we have so much information about them. So they were people of the sun. Okay, and over here, Atlantis, and let's move along. And here's Churchwood's drawing of the connection between Mu through Peru, because that part, Lake Titicaca, remember? And all that was under the ocean, and there was the giant lake, and they could go through there. Okay, next one. And here is an artist's conception of what Plato and Edgar Cayce said about Atlantis. There were rings and canals, and Edgar Cayce said a very interesting thing. If anybody has information on this, let me know, you scientists out there who work for us so indefatigably. Water, when passed over stone, which a 20-foot level will purify. I don't know what stone he's talking about, but that's a method that they used in Atlantis, so it's interesting to explore that idea. Okay, next one. This is Bimini Road. Edgar Cayce said signs of Atlantis will rise in 1968. Guess when Bimini Road was discovered? 1968. The scientists are calling it beach rock, but there's no other sample of beach rock like that in the world. It's an original. So, but we'll wait. Those Those scientists keep at it. They keep at it. Edgar Cayce said, stick close to science. Don't go too far away. Stick close, because they do a lot of work for us. They do a lot of the grunt work for me, I know. And the archaeologists. Let's hear for the archaeologists. Yeah. The diggers. The diggers. I don't want to go out there and dig. I just want to read the books. Yeah. Too many mosquitoes out there. Okay, next one. Here's Bimini Road. They're calling it Beach Rock. It's still undecided, but we're looking. Okay, next one. Edgar Cayce said an interesting thing. Once I started reading him, I continued. He talked of a being named Amilius, Amilius. Amilius was a great soul. According to Edgar Cayce, we are all spirit beings, star people. He just said spirit beings. That's who we are. It's our legacy and our destiny, only we forgot. This incarnate world is too much with us. Attachments make you heavy and dense. This Amilius, Edgar Cayce said he arrived in Atlantis, or he did these great things in Atlantis 198,000 years before the arrival of Ram in India. When did Ram arrive? It could be 2000 BCE when the Aryans arrived, or it could be way before that in the ancient parts of India. So at least 200,000 years ago, there was this being Amilius, and I show this picture of the chakras because Edgar Cayce told a strange tale. He said that at this point, because the beings on the earth had forgotten who they are, they were involved with because you could create everything with thought form. You could, whatever you wanted, you could create, and it got more and more fun, as long as you could get back. But once you got attached to that pleasure of the density, you began to find ways to like that density, and here we are. I'm involved also. I didn't want to come back here this time. When they threw in wine and cheese, I said, okay. Yeah. There are delights here. There are delights here. And the divine is very patient. And will always be patient. Is there an end to the mother's love for the child? That is the divine. That is the divine. Whatever we do, we're going to get another chance and another chance. The patience is endless. But we are pretty insidious. Edgar Cayce said that Amilius divided himself into 5 Adam and Eves around the world. Now that was a shocker. This is what caused the path of my research. That explains it. There's not one Adam and Eve. The story doesn't belong to one place. It belongs to many different places. Drop the paradigm of the one place. And that, whoa, is like a revelation, getting chills when you find something out like that. And so I followed it, and I followed it to the red lands of the Maya. Well, let's go to the next one. Let's see what it says. I first went to Mullamuria because that's my area of expertise. I studied Chinese, I studied Japanese and those cultures, and I read the ancient book, the Kojiki Monogatari, the Tale of the Ancient Things, one of the oldest books of Japan. Japan is based on it. And this is the Chinese word called Chan, and Chan means to incarnate, to produce. And the word life is right inside here, and this is to establish up on top. And there's the word life, to establish life, to incarnate, right there. Li and Sheng. I know 有几个中国人在啊？有没有嘛？你还在吗？你了解了。Okay, you guys understand. Okay, and in ancient Japan, guess what it's called? It's called Mu, to incarnate. I found it. I was so excited. It's in what that story. I can't get into it too much, but I wrote a few articles for ARE in this book, which is on sale. for the very cheap price of $7. So you can buy it over there later if you want to find out, because I'm going to elaborate more when I talk tomorrow. Okay, next one. Okay, Shang China, possibility by following the currents to get to the Pacific. Just like the Kon-Tiki, it's very possible to have done. The Chinese could have come quite naturally across the ocean to the Pacific side, the Mayan Pacific coast, okay? And here is the Japanese Adam and Eve, Izanagi and Izanami. I'm thrilled with their names. I'm thrilled because I found out that creation is really an invitation. A synonym for creation is invitation. It means we are invited to return and remember, but we don't want to take the invitation. What is it? Jesus once said, many are called, but everybody's invited to the banquet anyway. And I was raised Catholic, so I'm not, we didn't study the Bible directly. We heard it from second sources, so. So I'm suffering from that now. I have to read it again. Edgar Casey read it over and over and over again in order to, because he was giving these strange readings. And this guy is a Christian in Kentucky in the early 1900s. How is he getting away with doing these readings? But in the small town where he lived, they all protected him. Because he healed. Most of his readings were about healing, so he was it's a miracle. Sometimes the universe just provides a magical road for souls. The universe just provides a magical road for souls to manifest spirit when the time has come to manifest. Izanagi and Izanami means he who invites and she who invites. That is a Japanese translation of Adam and Eve. They are inviters. They are direct infusions of divine spirit into the world at crucial times when we need help. Right now, we are in the Katun Kan Ahau. We are in 4 Ahau. And there will be scarcity of food and many will die. That's happening. And also, this was the Katun in which Chichen Itza was established and the great teacher arrived. That could be the crystal skulls. The great teacher is supposed to rise before 2012, between here and 2000, the end of the Mayan calendar. Okay? So keep watching. Okay, next one. And here's the Adam and Eve we all know. Leaves and all. And he also assigned them a sense. The Adam and Eve of Europe, of the Carpathians, has the white resonance, he said. Remember I told you that the Adam and Eve of the Maya have the red resonance. And they have a sense, one of our 5 senses attached to them, the 5 Adam and Eves, and the sense attached to the Adam and Eve of Europe, of the lands of the white resonance, is white color. White includes all the other color, and the sensory assignment is the sense of sight. So that's their fall, and that's their strength. Their fall is they think they have the vision for everybody. And that's why we're going through what we're going, because that's what they do. It's a good thing, but it is also their fall, as we're finding out now, that we're coming to an end of a period of rise, and we're coming to a reset button time. Okay, next one. And here is the Mayan Eve. The Adam of the Maya is the crystal skull, the skull. Because what happened was, okay, this is the I'm skipping a lot of bases. There's Eve, and she's got a heart that she's made. Well, no, she doesn't have it yet. She's being cast out by her father because she was impregnated by a skull in a tree. It's a wild story. It involves impregnation by spitting in the hand. The old spit in the hand trick. We know that one. Oh my God. Okay, go to that one. Okay, go there. I'm running out of time. I knew it. Okay. Oh no, it's all right. I'm giving more lectures tomorrow. I usually do this. It takes me a whole day to give a full account, an entire day. I'm giving you a smidgen, a few sparks to get you going on these tracks because there's more to study. There's more to know. And the books have not been written. Here is the Popol Vuh as come down to us, the Mayan Bible. You see an original Dresden Codex page, how the Maya wrote. This is a translation when the Mayans learned to use the Roman letters and what it came down. It is an absolute miracle that it came down. It is the most incredible document that you will ever read. It is filled with wisdom, but for eyes that are wise and have studied other sources and can really understand what's in there. The first Europeans to really catch a glimpse of it were the French, a guy named Girard, who came in, a Swiss guy, a Swiss man who came from Switzerland. Swiss man came from Switzerland. Over-explaining, okay. But he saw it immediately. He said, the Western mind is not ready for this kind of information. And the Spanish knew it too. That's why they tried to burn it all. Because, first of all, the cities of the ancient Mexicans were bigger than the cities in Spain, and it wasn't mentioned in the Bible. So if it's not mentioned in the Bible, it's not of God. It must be of the other guy. Yeah. And so they tried to burn and erase it as it's an illness. It's a psychosis. Okay. Okay, next one. Here it is in inscriptions. This is the Mayan writing. It is extraordinary. Their number system is extraordinary. It just grabs all of the archaeologists that touch it. It grabs them because they can say all the numbers with using 3 numerals. We use 10. 1, 5, 0. That's it. And they were using 0 and place value long before anybody in a consistent fashion. The Greeks didn't have it, the Egyptians didn't have it, the Mayans had it. Yeah, it's amazing, amazing. It is one of the most astounding cultures I've ever come across. And they just capture you. Once you start, they just draw you in, like the crystal skull. Because they are the skull. The skull comes from there. Okay, next one. Here is the story, the creations. The first creation was the creation of the animals. I'm watching you, Yap. How am I doing? 3. Okay. There are the 4 creations of the animals. This is Mulamuria, the mud people. Okay. This is the wooden people, which I think is Atlantis. And the fall of Atlantis involves sensitivity, lack of sensitivity, because in the red resonance here, the assignment is feeling, the ability to feel. The Atlanteans could not feel for their animals. They wouldn't feed them properly. They enslaved people. There were 2 groups, according to Edgar Casey. The sons of Belial, I call them the SOBs for short, and the followers of the One. The followers of the One were the people who took down all the barriers between religions and had one name for the Creator, the followers of the One. And those people, after the fall of the Atlantis, scattered to the mound builders, to all the other places, and their tracks can be seen if we read the ancient documents carefully enough. Anyway, we are made out of corn now. The new one was being made out of corn. You all in America here are made of corn now. You're not made of wheat anymore. So when I give people Mayan calendar readings, I tell them about their other, I tell Americans what America is. Because America is much more than most people know. The American Indian has been waiting for hundreds of years for the West to come around to the wisdom that they have and the actual reason that they came here. They came here to learn, not to conquer. That was the idea, but they have a single idea, the vision thing. I think George Bush Sr. had the same problem. The vision thing. Okay, next one. And when in the ceremony, they talked about Hunahpu. There he is. Hunahpu has the dots on him. That symbolizes blood. Okay? And this is his twin boys. The Christ comes in the form of twin boys. Edgar Casey, by the way, the reason I continue reading, he said, how can any one culture claim that Christ only appeared to them? How can they be so arrogant? Christ will appear to all people. The Christ will appear to all peoples, and he will walk with people of every clime. That's how it is. We have to start getting together. We can't stay separate anymore. It's over. We don't have the luxury to play. Okay, so this is Hunahpu. This is a symbol of soul coming out of the nose. That's a Lemurian sign. Okay, next one. Oh, gotta go. Where's Job? Okay, that's it. One more picture. Just one. Yeah. Here it is to establish the fourth creation. The Hunahpu is there, the blowgunner. Okay, shooting down the bird of ego from the tree. His alter ego is, there's a jaguar paw hidden. This is American Indian spirituality is so complex and so funny. They really have a sense of humor. It's hidden to the ordinary eye. Do you see the jaguar paw there, paw? I'm talking like a New Yorker now, the paw, the jaguar paw. You see that? I've been in Oregon for 30 years, but you can take them out of Brooklyn, but not the Brooklyn out of them. There's the jaguar paw. He is the incarnate helper. It represents us, our spirit guide, and our incarnate helper, okay? And so it's very, very exquisite. And this is the jaguar doing a certain dance, and the magic, how we can create magic if we do it with a certain resonance in a certain dance. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to stop here. It would take too long to give you the full account. It's too long. And so I just want to whet your appetite. Yeah. That's all. Thank you very much.
Workshop tomorrow.
Yeah. So, please, you can come to the table and sign up for the workshops tomorrow to hear episode 2 and 3, okay? Thanks, y'all.